L'chaim, l'chaim.
Chaim v'levracha.
In the Sikha that I mentioned before, the Rebbe speaks about the L'daitcha, Shlach l'cho L'daitcha. That the Rebbe said that Moshe Rabbeinu was told by Hashem, I want you to develop that sensitivity, to use your own mind, to be able to feel and understand what I want. So the Rebbe says that's also one of the reasons why Chof Ches Sivan, connected into Chof Ches Sivan, it's when the Rebbe came to the Chatzi Kader HaTachton, where there was not Matan Torah. Australia, as far as I'm concerned, is definitely Chatzi Kader HaTachton. I remember the first time when I traveled to you guys, it was mamish traveling to Chatzi Kader HaTachton. I know that it says that a circle, an eagle, there's no Tachton, there's no alien. Nevertheless, fellows, it's Chatzi Kader HaTachton. If they ever calls America Chatzi Kader HaTachton, so Australia is Zicher Chatzi Kader HaTachton. And the Rebbe says, what's the pshat going to the bottom of planet Earth? There was where Matan Torah was. So it's more of a conducive place for spirituality. Chatzi Kader HaTachton, the bottom of the hemispheres, is not as conducive in spirituality as much as it is where there was Matan Torah. And that's the nekudah, that Hashem is giving us the koyach, that we should be able to do a fotzes hamayonis and a fotzes hayadus, and that should be the source of a fotzes hayadus and fotzes hamayonis for the rest of the world, in a place that's not as conducive as where Matan Torah was to begin with. So basically, the sikha that the Rebbe says about Chof Ches Sivan is connected to the Rebbe's avodah, that he says the ikar of fotzes hamayonis, of the spreading of Yiddishkeit and the well springs of Torah, is dafke in the Chatzi Kader HaTachton, where he came in Chof Ches Sivan 80 years ago. And that we have the ability over there to do it. Which for all of us that originally came from Chatzi Kader HaTachton, like myself, and also all those that are in Chatzi Kader HaTachton today, at the bottom of the world, as I say, Chof Ches Sivan was the day that it all started, the koyach. I mean, it started Tes Oder, when the Frierdiker Rebbe came. But then the Rebbe says it was a Tnufa Chadosha. It was a new, a completely new way, elevation in the spreading of Yadus and Afotzes Hamayonis through the three moisters of Merkaz and Yoni Chinuch and Machni Shol and Kahos. Of course, some of us will say that the Rebbe is being very modest. And when he writes like that it's the anniversary of a new level of spreading Yiddishkeit through the two institutions that the Frierdiker Rebbe established that the Rebbe should run. So the Rebbe is being very humble and modest by saying that. But really it was that the Rebbe came to the United States, and there was a whole new koyach. But the Rebbe put it into Kahos, Machni Shol, Merkaz and Yoni Chinuch. In other words, that's how the Frierdiker Rebbe expressed that new elevation when it comes to spreading of everything in Yiddishkeit and the whole Afotzes Hamayonis, Jefutza Meinesecha Chutza. It was another station, just like we have Yutis Kislev Yud Kislev, and then we have Yud Beis Tammuz. So we have Chof Ches Sivan as another date in the Afotzes Hamayonis, Yifutza Meinesecha Chutz. And the Rebbe, being humble, puts it under three moistus. But you know, it also teaches us another thing also. That the Rebbe wanted, the Fidikem and the Rebbe himself, that the Yifutza Meinesecha Chutz is through the institutions that the Rebbe established. That we should have that derech eretz and the respect and the covet for the institutions that the Rebbe established, and through that is the Afotzes Hayadus and Afotzes Mayonis. It was done in a structured way. It's like I was just thinking about it, you know, just we had in the Yoim Yoim this last week. How do you have iskashus? So what does it say in the Yoim Yoim? Can I ask you to just read out the Yoim Yoim for a minute, so you should be able to remind me of the Loshen? Does somebody have a Yoim Yoim over there? Chaim Tzvi, or who is it? Mendel or Himmler? Who is it over there? Can somebody please read out the Yoim Yoim? What does he say about his kashus? We know that it says limit achsidis, limit terasei, kiyam aroisim. But there's another thing that it says about his kashus in that Yoim Yoim. It says, as far as I remember, Lischaber Imanash and Yisvadison. You have that Yoim Yoim there?
Yeah. No?
Can you say it, please?
I
don't see you. Chaim Tzvi, I don't see you.
We were told to turn off so more people could join. Das hat mir gesagt.
Yeah, but you're saying something.
Okay.
Oh.
השואל במהי האיסקשס שלוי אליי, מאחר שאין אני מכירי פונים. האיסקשס הוא אמיתיסי על ידי לימוד התורה, כשהוא לימד המאמר החסידס שלי, קורא את השיחס, ומסחבר עם ידידי אנש ותלמידי התמימים יחיו בלימודם ובשרדוסם. ומקיים בקושוסי באמירס התהילים, ובשמיר הזמן הלימודים, הנה בזה היא האיסקשס.
Just 1 second, Reb Chaim Tzvi. Do you have the Yoim Yoim in English too? Because I don't speak so good. I'd like to hear it in my Mama Loshen also. Can I hear that in my Mama Loshen? You know, the Friedrich Rebbe writes that the fact that the Rabbeim would say in my Morim, they would say things in jargon, was to speak to the Nefesh Habamis, because he understands jargon. So by me, when you say it in English, it's speaking to my Nefesh Habamis. I'd like to hear it in English. Can you say it in English, please?
1 second.
You got it?
Yeah. You ask, how can you be bound, Mekusha, to me when I do not know you personally? The true bond is created by studying Torah. When you study my Maimorim, read the Sichos, and associate with those dear to me, the Hasidic community and the Tmimim, in their studies and Farbrengens. And you fulfill my request regarding saying Tehillim and observing Torah study times. In this is the bond.
Listen, I know a lot of people that they tell me, I'm a chassid of the Rebbe, not of the Chassidim. I'm a chassid of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I respect him. I appreciate him. I appreciate his leadership, his vision, his clarity. But the Chassidim, it's a different story. I don't knock it. I'm happy to hear that a Yid is connected to the Rebbe. But I see that this Hayoim Yoim that he says, if you want to be Mekusha to me, I want you to be Makusha to my Chassidim, to my Tvimim. I want you to be together with them by Farbrengens. I want you to know, for me, as your Rebbe, if you want to know what connects me with you, is by also connecting to all my Chassidim, to all my Tvimim, and sitting by Farbrengens, and have an emes ava and achtus tzvishim Chassidim. That's part of these skashas. And to that, I want to say further, the fact that the Rebbe says that Chof Sivan is a day where there was a new elevation in Afotz Samayonas by Merkez and Yoni Chinuch, Machni Yisrael Kohos. It's not just that the Rebbe is being humble and modest. It's also because those are the moistus that the Rebbe, Frierdiker Rebbe, established that the Rebbe should run, because there's a structure. And he's letting us know Tenufa Chadosha in that structure. And I want to share with you that, I'm a person that always looks for Hashgacha Pratis. And not every day do I Farbrengen in Australia. Not every day do I have the opportunity to Farbrengen with a community that's Korav L'Libi. It's close to my heart. So you all know, I've told you in the past, I have a kniyus that I read 5 letters a day from the Rebbe. According to the Saint. In the corona epidemic, or pandemic as we call it, in the COVID-19, as the Western world calls it, here in Israel we call it corona, but the COVID-19, I added on, in addition to reading 5 letters of the Rebbe in the Igros Kodesh, I also read the Rebbe's letters in English, in my mamalosh. I started first by reading even 5 letters a day in English in the lockdowns. But it was just too much because the letters in English are much more lengthy. And also I felt that I was losing a lot of the messages by reading 5 in one day. I call the Rebbe's letters like cream cake. You can't eat too much in one shot. You have to be able to digest them slowly. So I read every day now 1 letter a day in English. So my letter in English, as I opened it up in the morning, was a letter to an individual in Australia. Oh, he said, okay, Farbrengen to Australia today. So my letter in English today is in Australia. Okay, so you could say the chances of me getting a letter in English to somebody in Australia, listen, you've got Canada, United States, you've got South Africa, you've got Australia, you've got English-speaking countries. So where do you expect for a letter to be in English? Oh, it's one of the places is you got England, but one of the places is Australia. So you know what? 1 out of 6 or 7 got a letter to Australia. So then I took out my 5 letters in here. So let's see what I'm going to have in my 5 letters in here. One of my 5 letters is a letter to a fellow from Chicago. His name is Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef Flyer. He was a Rabbi in the Chicago community. I'm in Chelik Tazayin in the Igros Kodesh. It's a letter from Hey Yoder. Vov Tzadik Aleph. That's the number of the letter. Vov Tzadik Aleph. Letter to Chicago, it's like Chicago. All of a sudden, after the Rebbe signs off of Freilich Purim, He says, right now, I received Meimamachutten, Harav Yitzchak David Groner, Shlita, a present that you sent in, a photocopy of a letter that you received from the Frierdiker Rebbe on Chavdalet Tevis Tovshin Gimel. And thank you for sending me in a photocopy of that letter. Now, it was Chaim Tzvi that called me up to ask me to Farbrengen. So in my 5 letters that I should have, Rabbi Yitzchak David mentioned, Rabbi Groner mentioned in my 5 letters, that's already the possibility of such things in Tovshin Yud Ches. He wasn't even in Australia at that time. Is that correct, Reb Chaim Tzvi?
Yeah, he had been already twice in Australia, but he wasn't at that time. He was not.
He wasn't a shliach in Australia.
Yeah, 1958.
Yeah.
This is Tovshin Yud Ches. Yeah, I see the letter. He was living then in New York.
So, and I take a look at the letter, and the Rebbe writes that this letter that you sent me in from the Frierdiker Rebbe is very pertinent right now, 15 years later. So I opened up the Frierdiker Rebbe's letter to see it in the Igros Kodesh of Frierdiker Rebbe. And there's a letter that the Frierdiker Rebbe talks about. Where's all of Anash? Where are the people to help me in the work that I have to do? He says there are some that think about the food, that I should have bread on my table. But that's not the main thing. I need Anash to help me in the moistest that I put together to be able to get my job done in my shlichus in this world. Machni Yisrael, he mentions. You'll take a look and you'll see the letter that your father brought in from Chof Gimel Tevis, Chof Daled Tevis Tovshin Gimel. So I take a look at the letters and say, boy, you should. Chof Ches Sivan. The Rebbe says it was a new elevation of working a Fotzes Hamayonos. But in order for it to keep going and to be successful and to get the job done, what was given to us, it's up to us, all of us. The Rebbe is depending on us. The Frierdiker Rebbe writes in a Sikha, he says it is the general that gives the strategy to be able to fight the battle. But it is the foot soldiers that bring the victory, the ones on the front lines. We are all on the front lines. We've been given shlichus, a very important date in our calendar is Chof Ches Sivan. The Rebbe was saved with the Rebbe. We were enabled to be able to receive from the Rebbe such hashpor. And now it's in our hands. Chevre, it's in our hands. We're the ones that have to do it. It's the foot soldiers that have to bring the victory. We have to keep strong and we have to keep connected. We've got the strategy. We have the sichas. We have the maimorim. We have the letters. We have the heroes, the directives of the Rebbe. I know that there's the wear and tear of life. Believe me. We're going through right now not easy times. And there's the wear and tear in general. And we're only getting younger, as we say. But at the same time, Hashem doesn't ask us more than we can handle. The Rebbe writes in his letters many times, Tzadikim doimim leboirim, as it says in the Medrash. Chazal, that tzaddikim are similar to their creator. And at tzaddik, the Rebbe writes, our Rebbe doesn't ask us something that we can't do, we can't handle. One of the reasons why the Rebbe says that we make such a big deal about the story with the Meraglim is because there's a basic message in the story of the Meraglim for our lives. I told you to go in to check out the land. What kind of people live there? What kind of a land it is? You came back and you drew a conclusion. You said we won't be able to conquer the land. I didn't ask you whether we can conquer or not, because that wasn't the question. God told us we're going to conquer the land. And if he said we're going to conquer the land, we have the ability to conquer the land. He wouldn't ask us something that we can't handle. So because of that, it is such a basic message, the Rebbe says. I asked all of you to conquer the world, to make everywhere Eretz Yisrael. So what do people tell me? He's not talking to me. I can't do it. Some people will tell you, Rambam, nice in yeshiva, too busy. Got to work, have a family. It's just too much for me. Not even one page. Say for mitzvahs, that's for kids. Not going to do it. Other people tell me, Chita's too hard. I teach, it's too taxing. Mitzvah tefillin, that's for the bochum in the yeshiva. Davening with a minyan every day in the morning. I mean, when there's not a lockdown. I got to get to work early. Doesn't work out too much. Mikveh, man charshmei. Just too much. I can't do it. Who was there ever talking to in Chof Ches Nissen when he said, I've done whatever I can, now I give it over to all you to do? He's talking to us. People with flesh and blood. People that have frailties. He's talking to all of us. We're not perfect. Halavai Beinini, as we say. And nevertheless, standing in front of the whole crowd, if there was anyone that knew who we are, it's the Rebbe knew who we are. And nevertheless, he turned to all of us and he told all of us, fellows, I'm giving you a task to get the job done. Don't turn back and tell me I can't. That's what the Meraglim say. I'm telling you people, you can. He has empowered us. He has given us the ability to be able to do it. What is going on? Gotta keep moving, keep trying, keep adding on. It's compiling. We're getting closer. We're going to clinch it. It's going to happen. We're going to hang in there. And we're going to try our best to do what we've been asked to do. Because it's the foot soldiers that bring the victory. And that's what we all are. We are the foot soldiers. And we were given a day like Chof Ches Sivan, where God had Rachmanisans. And he saved the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin. And he brought him to the United States of America, where they could start a new level of spreading Yiddishkeit and Chassidus. And all the shlichus of the world now that we see, the whole mapecha, the revolution that's going on. There's a revolution going on all over the world, believe me. I'm seeing it in Israel. A place like Rehovot, 16, 17 shluchim now in different neighborhoods. And every town, that's what's going on right now. And what's going on in the rest of the world. We are the ones that are going to make it happen. But in order to be able to make it happen, how important it is for us to be connected. to take from the Rebbe's Torah, to take from the Rebbe's Torahs, to Farbrengen with Chassidim, to Farbrengen with Tmimin, to be all together, part of my iskashus, to be mechazik all the different moistus that the Rebbe has established, so that we should be able to get the job done. I'm going to say l'chaim, chevre, bakasha, l'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim l'bracha.
L'chaim. I don't see everybody. 1 minute.
Chaim.
L'chaim
L'chaim
l'bracha.
l'bracha.
Chazak.
L'chaim,
Chaim, chevre, l'chaim.
l'chaim,
Chassidim shenigin. Chaim.
l'chaim.